Well, Animaniacs season 2, was released a couple weeks ago, and it was basically all the episodes, all 13. And a lot of folks were wondering and pondering, to coin a phrase, whether or not Animaniacs, the soft red called reboot, whatever you want to call it, was going to get another season. And the good news is, yes, they are going to get one more season on Hulu. Unfortunately, the bad news is unlike the previous two seasons, it'll only be 10 episodes, not 13. And what's interesting, though, about this upcoming season is this season, the second season, ended on a cliffhanger. You see, long story short, the Warner Brothers, in the last episode of of season 2, took a DNA test and thought that basically, according to the test, that they were related to the new CEO of Warner Brothers, the Nico Rita girl, or whatever her name is. They thought they were related to her and her family. And unfortunately, that wasn't the case. Because the doctor that did the DNA test came to the house, basically, at the end of the episode, in which the Warners had crashed a reunion, which they have been known to do. I mean, with Nicole Rita's family, this is like the second time they did it this season. The first time was her daughter's 16th birthday party, which they did apologize for and make up for. And obviously, it's obviously what they have is sort of like a very tolerable relationship with the CEO. Like, she's more tolerable about them than Plots was, but there are still times that they kind of get on her nerves. We'll put it that way. And anyway, long story short, like I said, the doctor who ran the DNA test came to the house around the same time that the Warners had crashed the party. Like I said, it was the second time they did it this season. The first being the sweet 16th birthday of Nicole Rita's daughter. Anyway, the doctor comes in and he says, no, the Warners are not related to Nicole Rita and her family. So they are basically ineligible to inherit whatever the fortune was that Nicole Rita's mom was going to pass on to potentially the Warners, thinking, oh, they're basically blood. They are flesh and family. Or the flesh and blood, the family, basically. So the Warners are disqualified. However, she does kind of still pass on the fortune to someone in her family. And the person that gets the nomination, if you will, gets the opportunity to have that fortune is the security guard, Ralph. That's right. Ralph ends up being the one that gets the fortune. He's the one that inherits the fortune, and thus he becomes the new CEO, chairman of Warner Brothers. Now, Nicole Rita, she keeps a job there at Warner Brothers, but she's not the CEO. She's not the chairwoman anymore. She is producer and director of a lot of Ralph's movies that he wants to see, and most of them are crossovers of things he likes, which is DC Comics and food. And basically, his ideas are hurting the company. Not just, from a movie box office perspective, but financially supportive-wise. Like, a lot of people apparently do not want to accept these scripts because they're too stupid, if you will. So where does this leave the Warners? Well, Ralph decides, okay, Warners, you could stay, but you're going to have the job I did. You're going to be security guards. And basically that's where the season ends, because you even have them being very meta, like Dot saying, "Oh, what a way to end a season on a cliffhanger." If we potentially, well, basically you have Dot, I should say, being very. What I'm trying to say is, you have all three of them being very meta about the season ending. On a cliffhanger, wondering if they're going to get a third season, which, like I said earlier, they are. Spoiler alert, they are, I should say. they are going to get a third season. But then Wacko wonders if, kind of alludes, I should say, as the camera zooms into his eyes and we see nothing but a black void afterwards before it fades to the credits. Wacko's wondering, maybe, is alluding to something of, well, wondering and alluding if they'll all just, wake up and wonder it's a dream or something like that. Basically hinting at the fact that in the third season, maybe the first episode will indicate or show the Warners waking up in the tower and that everything they just experienced was nothing more than a dream. Or maybe it'll happen at the end of season 3 where they'll wake up and it's still the 1990s and they'll realize, oh, all of it was a dream, but why did it feel so real? If you catch my drift. So the third season's going to happen, and apparently it seems that right off the bat, I can almost predict it right now, right off the bat they're going to resolve, this whole Ralph being the CEO of Warner Brothers now, the new chairperson of Warner Brothers now, because, he's too, and I say this with all due respect, he's too incompetent mentally to be running a studio like that with all these, nonsensical ideas for movies and shows that he wants to see happen. So Animaniacs is going to get a third season, and like I said, it feels like what they're going to do in the first couple of episodes, at least the first episode entirely, is resolve this entire issue with Ralph being, the person running the company now, and not the Rita girl, not the Nicole Rita girl, that who had been doing it previously over the past couple of seasons, taking over after plots. So, yeah, I've got a feeling it's going to get resoluted in the first episode or so, and Ralph will be back to being a security guard, and Nicole Rita will be back in charge of the studio, and maybe she might be a lot more tolerable. Like I said, she's tolerable of the Warners right now, but not, a lot or anything like that. It's like she's kind of right in the middle, like she's building to that, acceptance of the Warners and everything. But she's at that middle ground of where she's just tolerable about them, along with her family members, some of her family members, that is, including her daughter, who seems to be more accepting of them than anything. But anyway, though, I've got a feeling that once this gets resolved, that she'll become a lot more tolerable, that the building blocks to her having acceptance to the Warners will start to get bigger, will start to grow bigger and bigger, and that maybe by the end of season 3 she'll be fully accepting of them and be like, you know what, if it wasn't for you guys to, being some of the first cartoon characters and all that around, maybe there wouldn't be a Warner Brothers or something like that. We'll see. We'll see what happens, but I've got a feeling the third season is going to be where she becomes a lot more tolerable, close to more accepting of the Warners than what she is right now. Like, she's in that middle ground of tolerableness with them, and I think that's all going to begin once they kind of help her get back control of the Warner Brothers company, the studio that is, from Ralph, because, like I said, with all due respect, he's too, from a storyline perspective, character perspective, he's too mentally incompetent to be running a company like the WB, as the CEO and the chairman, of the whole shebang, if you catch my drift. Now, as far as, whether or not it's going to be revealed at the end of the season, maybe at the beginning of the season or whatever, that, it's all been a dream, we'll have to see. I've got a feeling if they do go the dream route, it'll be revealed at the end. They'll basically go the Bob Newhart route, because remember at the finale of the Bob Newhart show, one of the more recent ones, he woke up and he woke up in bed and it was all revealed that the entire series that we saw, for the several seasons that it was on, was nothing but a dream in his head. So who's to say they won't go that route with the ending of season 3, in this 10 episode run that they'll be doing. And I won't be surprised if they do it, because it would basically make sense as far as the Animaniacs go, as far as the Animaniacs methods go, as far as their storytelling and stuff goes, and the meta-ness and parodies go. It would make a lot of sense for them to go in that direction. So, to me, if I was to put money on it, I would say if it gets revealed to be a dream and they go similar and they go similarly in the directive like the Bob Newhart show did, in their own parody meta kind of way, I would say it's going to be revealed, that it's a dream at the end of the season. And thus I predict at the beginning of the season, maybe the first episode right off the bat, they're going to resolve this entire situation, and Ralph will go back to being a security guard, and then the Corita girl will get back control of the company because, like I said, from a character storyline perspective, Ralph will basically prove to be too mentally incompetent to be running things. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens there. As far as the Warners, in their DNA, revealing exactly who they're truly connected to. The fact that they reference termite terrants, or termite terrants, if you will, as basically the origin of where they started, I think it's a nice move by Warner Brothers to acknowledge not just how Looney Tunes and Merry Melodies officially started for them, but also how basically they're the reason the Warners came into existence. As early as from a storyline perspective, as early as the 30s and the 40s and all that. So maybe that might play, a role, perhaps. Maybe they'll revisit that idea here and all that in the third season. I would like to see them do that. I would like to see the Warners actually go to Termite Terrence and or at least to the location of where it's at, or basically what's left of it is located in the standing, and kind of get more of an idea of how their history and all that. I would love to see that occur. As far as like any other characters, I'm hoping that if the third season, being at 10 episodes, is the last season on Hulu, and the last season for the revival of Animaniacs, the soft revival, then I would say I would love to see them incorporate a lot of the established Animaniac characters. Bring them back, bring back Slappy, bring back Skippy, bring back Rita and Runt, bring back Minerva Mink, bring back, who else? Bring back Buttons and Mindy, bring them all back. Bring back Katie Kaboom, bring them all back for one last hurrah, and maybe bring them back for the finale, bring them back for the finale to where if it does get revealed to be a dream, let's say it's Yakko that's dreaming it, or Wacko that's dreaming it, or Dot, or all three of them simultaneously. They wake up, and they wake up in time for maybe their birthday, and it's all the characters there, and you see Minerva, you see Rita and Runt and all of them, and then they go up to to maybe Dr. Scratchesniff and Hello Nurse, and they're wondering, they're wondering, where did all these guys come from? We thought they were gone and everything, and maybe you could have Scratchesniff say like, "What are you talking about? They've always been here. They've always been here. What are you talking about?" And maybe that's how it gets revealed to be a dream. Who knows? But we'll have to see. We'll have to see what they do. But I would love to see these characters come back. I would love to see them come back with their own shorts. Let them come back with their own shorts and help to help pan out the episodes, and just go from there. As far as Pinky and the Brain go, obviously according to Saberspark, they're alluding to some kind of romantic situation between Brain and Julie. So I would love to see that come full circle. I'd love to see Julie get romantically involved with Brain, and maybe realize that her and Brain have a lot more in common than she thought, and perhaps she just didn't understand exactly why Brain did what he did to her and all that. So, but now she does. So I'd love to see that happen. I would like to see Billy come back. Yeah, Billy, who ended up being a love interest of Brain in the original run, but then we found out she had a thing for Pinky. I would love for her to come back, and that would be something. Get a double date episode there. Who knows? I mean, I would love to see her come back and and have a double date episode with her and Julie going on a date with Pinky and Brain. Maybe Billy tries to convince Julie to give Brain a chance because they have more in common than they thought. Who knows? It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see, but overall, the third season is one to look out for because, one, like I said, I've got a feeling that the cliffhanger is going to get resolved right off the bat, right in the first episode. And that if they are alluding to the fact that the whole thing is a dream that the Warners are having, back in the 90s, You know, basically it's one of those dreams that somehow project what, the future could be for you. If it is a dream and they go that route, like I said, in their own Animaniacs kind of style, parody, if you will, I predict that's going to get That's going to get revealed at the end of the series. I really do. And as far as Brain and Julie go, I think that we're going to get maybe a romance. Maybe we might get a romance out of it between the two, and maybe might see Billy and Pinky get back together, because you can't just have Brain be with Julie and not give Pinky somebody, and maybe Billy shows up to fill that role. Again, who's to say? Who's to say? But we'll have to wait to find out what the third season is going to be like. And again, like I said, I would love to see the other characters come back. Even whether or not it's for the finale, or maybe they got their own segments again. Throughout the 10 episodes, who knows? But I would love to see them come back. And that really is about it. I would love to see the Lustful Milk Egg come back for characters like the Warners, and and I say this with all due respect, no offense, but for the female characters as well. But we'll have to see what they have in store. But yeah, season 2 ends on a cliffhanger, and season 3 is coming, and it's going to obviously resolve that cliffhanger, I believe, right off the bat. And like I said, if it's a dream, if it's all going to be revealed to be a dream, I've got a feeling that's going to get acknowledged at the end, maybe. But we'll see what they do. But what are you guys' thoughts on season 2 ending on a cliffhanger, and what do you see happening with season 3 as far as the reboot of Animaniacs goes on Hulu? What do you see happening? When do you think the cliffhanger at the end of season 2 will be resolved? Do you think it'll be resolved at the beginning, or do you think they'll wait to the end? What are your thoughts? Do you think it is all a dream and that might get revealed at the beginning or maybe at the end, as I believe it will? How do you feel about that? What are your thoughts about Brain and Julie, hinting at a romance between the two in season 2? Do you think that'll get resolved in season 3, where they might get together? And do you think maybe to counter that, we might see Billy come back and get together with Pinky? What are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts overall on that? And also, do you think we see the original OG characters come back, for one last hurrah, maybe in the end, or perhaps it gets revealed to be a dream, or maybe they get their own segments? What are your thoughts? Comment below, live chat during the premiere, like the video, check out the Teespring store. Also check me out at BW Rosa's Discussions on all your favorite audio podcast locations except for Pandora. Also check me out at BW Rosas on Patreon if you want to help support me there. Check me out at BW Rosas on VENMO for our content you can't get anywhere else except there. As well as check me out on Venmo if you want to help donate there as well. But let me know what your thoughts are on how you felt about the cliffhanger of season 2, and what do you see about season 3? How do you see it starting out? How it's going to end? Do you agree with some of the things I feel is going to happen? What are your thoughts overall? Let me know below in the comments in the live chat, and I'm out.